The day began like any other at the Intergalactic Academy. Students from dozens of planets gathered in the massive, glass-walled hall, chattering excitedly about the upcoming pet day. This was a day every student looked forward to, a day to show off their beloved companions. Most students had pets that were cute and harmless, fluffy, winged, or small with bright, sparkling eyes. The air was filled with nervous laughter and whispers about which pet would win the prize. A group of new students entered quietly. They were humans, newcomers from a distant world known as a death world. Their skin was pale, their eyes calm, and their posture relaxed as if nothing could surprise them. They carried cages covered with dark cloths. Other students peeked curiously, expecting tiny kittens, colorful birds, or small furry creatures. Whispers spread quickly. "They look so normal. Their pets must be cute too," one alien student murmured. When the teacher finally called everyone to line up, the aliens proudly brought forward their pets. A tiny, glowing fox floated in the air beside its owner. A small, chittering creature with translucent wings perched on another's shoulder. A pink blob bounced happily, making the students laugh. The room was filled with admiration and light-hearted chatter. Then the humans stepped forward. With calm, deliberate movements, the Deathworlders pulled the cloths off their cages. What the aliens saw made their jaws drop. The pets were huge, muscular, and terrifying. Their skin was rough and armored, their claws sharp, and their eyes glowed faintly with a predatory light. One pet towered above a small alien student, teeth glinting as it sniffed the air. Another's tail flicked dangerously, swiping at nothing but moving with perfect balance. Even the teacher froze for a moment, staring at the unexpected sight. The alien students gasped, some stumbling backward in shock. Many tried to laugh it off, but the sound caught in their throats when the creatures moved. The room went quiet, except for the calm breathing of the humans and the soft growls of their pets. A small alien tried to touch one of the monsters and froze, eyes wide, as it hissed softly. One human reached out a hand, and the creature nuzzled gently, showing perfect obedience. It was clear the animals were dangerous, but they were not wild or uncontrollable. The humans did not speak loudly or try to show off. They simply stood there, hands resting lightly on their companions, their expressions calm and confident. The aliens exchanged nervous glances. These humans seemed to have a connection with their pets that no one else understood. They could control something that looked like a walking nightmare, and they did it with ease. Some alien students whispered among themselves. "How can they do that?" one said, voice trembling. Another shook their head. "These humans, they must come from a world far worse than ours." The teacher, recovering from shock, clapped their hands to bring order. "Very well," they said, voice tight. "Let us begin the introductions." One by one the aliens spoke about their pets, showing off tricks and abilities. The humans followed. They did not boast, but when asked about their pets, they explained calmly how they trained them, how they understood their needs, and how they ensured the creatures were safe yet ready for anything. The other students listened, eyes widening with a mix of fear and curiosity. The humans' pets were terrifying, yes, but intelligent and loyal. Every move they made showed discipline, not mindless aggression. Even the teacher had to nod in approval. It was clear these humans and their companions had survived far harsher challenges than any alien could imagine. By the end of the introductions, the room had changed. The alien students no longer whispered about cuteness or colors. They now spoke quietly of strength, skill, and courage. They looked at the humans with respect, mixed with a hint of awe. The humans smiled faintly but did not flaunt their advantage. They simply waited, calm and ready, knowing the day had only just begun. Outside, the wind blew over the academy grounds, carrying with it the soft, dangerous sounds of the Deathworlder pets. The aliens stared out the windows, realizing that this pet day would be nothing like any other. They had expected cute companions. Instead, they had seen nightmares controlled by humans who thrived where others would fall. And deep down, they understood that the world had changed and the humans had arrived. The classroom was still buzzing from the shocking reveal of the humans' pets. Alien students whispered nervously, casting glances at the massive, shadowy creatures that now stood silently beside the humans. Some of the smaller aliens clutched their own pets, unsure whether to be proud or terrified. The teacher tried to regain control, but even they seemed tense. "Now," the teacher said, voice firm, "let us begin the first exercise, obedience and agility." The alien students were eager. Their pets performed simple tricks first, hopping through hoops, floating in the air, or balancing on small platforms. The room erupted in applause at each success, smiles and laughter filling the air again. Then it was time for the humans to show their companions. The Deathworlders stepped forward, calm and composed. One of them lifted a hand, signaling their pet. The creature moved with precision, its massive legs carrying it effortlessly over a complex obstacle course. The aliens gasped. They had expected difficulty, but the monsters leaped and twisted flawlessly, never hesitating, never making a mistake. A small alien squeaked and stumbled backward in fright, watching as a clawed foot landed softly on the platform below. Another human's pet approached a series of swinging obstacles. The room held its breath. The creature's movements were fluid, almost elegant, despite its terrifying size. It ducked, spun, and balanced perfectly, never touching the edges. Some alien students stared in disbelief. It shouldn't be able to do that, one muttered. Another nodded slowly. These humans, they must train them every day. But not everything went smoothly for the alien pets. A small, glowing fox froze midway through its jump and fell with a tiny squeak. A winged, chittering creature flapped in panic, nearly colliding with the ceiling. The room filled with nervous laughter, but it was tinged with embarrassment. Meanwhile, the Deathworlder pets performed each task flawlessly. Their obedience and intelligence were undeniable. A few brave aliens attempted to step closer to the humans' pets, trying to examine them. One reached out a hand toward the massive, scaly head of a creature. The pet's eyes flicked to the alien, and it hissed softly, low and warning, yet it did not strike. The alien froze, heart pounding, and slowly withdrew. A human placed a hand gently on the pet's snout. The creature relaxed immediately, nuzzling against the human's palm. The aliens whispered among themselves, astonished. The pets were terrifying, yes, but they were not wild. They obeyed completely, but only to the humans they trusted. The teacher called for the next challenge, a test of courage. Each pet must navigate the danger zone, they announced, without harming or panicking. Alien pets hesitated as soon as they entered the area. Strange lights flashed, harmless mechanical predators roared, and the obstacles shifted unexpectedly. Many of the smaller alien pets trembled, moving slowly or refusing to proceed. The humans' pets, however, advanced calmly. They sidestepped traps, dodged mechanical predators, and protected their owners when a swinging arm swung too close. Some aliens gasped as a massive Deathworlder pet shielded its human from a falling obstacle, snapping its claws in warning at the machine. Another human's creature leaped over a trap and nudged an alien student's pet gently aside to prevent it from panicking. The classroom was silent, filled with awe. These creatures were not just pets, they were partners, intelligent and capable, loyal to the humans who had raised them. Whispers spread quickly. They trained them for survival, not just tricks, one alien said. No wonder humans are so strong, another replied. Eyes that had been skeptical now looked on with a mix of fear and admiration. Even the teacher, who had seen countless species and countless strange animals, had to admit the humans' advantage was extraordinary. By the time the exercise ended, the alien students were no longer laughing. Some clutched their pets protectively, while others stared at the humans and their companions with wide eyes. The initial excitement of Pet Day had turned into cautious respect, and a little fear. The Deathworlders stood silently, letting their pets settle back beside them, calm and watchful. It was clear that the humans and their creatures were in a class of their own. The other students realized that the day was no longer about who had the cutest pet. It was about strength, intelligence, and courage, the kind that only came from surviving a deadly world. The humans did not need to boast. Their presence and the calm obedience of their monsters spoke louder than any words ever could. As the class ended for the day, whispers continued, softer now, filled with awe instead of laughter. The aliens had learned something important. Appearances could be deceiving, and what looked like nightmares were sometimes the greatest teachers. Outside the classroom, the wind stirred, carrying the faint, low growls of the Deathworlder pets. It was a sound that reminded everyone that humans, and their companions, were unlike anything they had faced before. The next morning, the classroom was filled with nervous energy. Today's challenge was more difficult. Each pet had to complete an obstacle course that tested speed, intelligence, and adaptability. The aliens were excited, confident that their cute and clever pets would shine. The humans, however, entered quietly, their faces calm and unreadable, with their massive Deathworlder companions walking silently beside them. The first alien pets went one by one. A floating fox zipped through the hoops but hesitated at a spinning platform. A winged creature flapped frantically as it tried to cross a narrow beam. Some smaller pets bounced or floated clumsily, missing targets or nearly falling. The aliens whispered words of encouragement, but the stress was clear on both the pets and their owners' faces. When it was time for the humans to start, the room fell silent. One human stepped forward, lifting a hand slightly. The largest Deathworlder pet crouched, then sprinted toward the first obstacle with a speed that made alien jaws drop. It leaped over spinning bars with perfect timing, landed on a platform without slipping, and avoided every swinging trap. The other students watched in disbelief. How could something so big and fierce move so gracefully? Another human's pet approached the puzzle section of the course. The alien students held their breath. The puzzle required the pet to pull levers in a specific order to open a door. The smaller alien pets struggled, pawing randomly or looking to their owners for help. The Deathworlder pet tilted its head, studied the puzzle for a moment, and began pulling the levers in the correct sequence. The door clicked open and the pet nudged it gently to allow the human to pass. Murmurs spread across the classroom. The human's pets were not just strong, they were clever and calm under pressure. Some alien students became curious and moved closer, trying to see how the humans trained their creatures. One whispered, "They must teach them to survive, not just to follow orders." Another nodded slowly. "No wonder humans live on death worlds. Everything there is dangerous. Their pets have to be smart just to stay alive." Then came the climbing section, where pets had to scale a vertical wall with moving platforms and swinging obstacles. The alien pets hesitated, some refusing to try. The humans' monsters approached calmly, observing the moving platforms before leaping with perfect timing. One massive pet caught a swinging bar midair and swung across without losing balance. The aliens gasped and whispered to each other in amazement. They planned every move. They are like survival machines. The course grew more difficult, testing coordination between pet and owner. The alien students struggled to direct their smaller, less disciplined pets. Commands were misunderstood, paws slipped, and some pets froze mid-task. Meanwhile, the humans and their Deathworlder companions moved in perfect synchronization. When a mechanical predator lunged toward the human, the pet reacted instantly, shielding its owner and guiding them safely past the danger. The aliens watched silently, awe spreading across their faces. By the end of the obstacle course, the difference was clear. Alien pets were cute, entertaining, and somewhat clever, but they lacked the deadly precision and adaptability of the humans' creatures. The humans stood calmly as their monsters settled back to their sides, breathing softly but still alert. The other students looked on, realizing that strength was not always obvious and that what seemed terrifying could be controlled by intelligence and experience. Even the teacher could not hide a sense of respect. They approached a human quietly and asked about the training. The human smiled faintly and said, "We grow up in a world where danger is normal. Our pets learn to survive because they have to. They listen because they know we need each other." The teacher nodded slowly, understanding that this was more than obedience. It was a bond forged by necessity, trust, and shared experience. The alien students began to change their attitude. Instead of comparing cuteness or speed, they started to whisper about intelligence, discipline, and survival skills. They observed the humans and their companions with quiet admiration. Some of them even began to rethink their own pets, wondering how much they relied on appearances instead of true skill. By the time the exercise ended, the classroom was no longer a place of simple fun. It had become a lesson in respect and understanding. The humans had not shown off or bragged, but their actions spoke louder than words. Their pets were nightmares to look at, yes, but in reality they were teachers, demonstrating strength, strategy, and loyalty in ways that no alien pet had ever shown. As the students left the classroom, the whispers followed them. "Humans are different," one said quietly. "And their pets, they are not just pets. They are survivors." The humans walked calmly down the hallway, Deathworlder companions at their sides, eyes alert but relaxed. The other students watched, knowing that today they had learned something far more valuable than a simple contest. They had learned a lesson about courage, intelligence, and the power of experience, lessons that only the humans could teach. The next challenge was announced by the teacher, and the classroom grew tense. This was the test that mattered most. Pets had to protect their owners from simulated dangers. Mechanical predators roared and lunged, obstacles swung unexpectedly, and the room was filled with flashing lights and alarms. The alien students looked at their pets with worry. Many of the smaller, cute animals hesitated, ears flattening or wings trembling. Some tried to run or hide, unsure how to react. The humans, however, remained calm. Their Deathworlder companions moved into position instantly, eyes sharp and muscles coiled. As the mechanical predators lunged toward them, the pets reacted with speed and precision that made the aliens gasp. One massive creature leaped in front of its human, claws snapping dangerously close to the machines. Another wrapped its tail protectively around its owner, guiding them through the obstacles with careful nudges. The humans whispered softly, giving quiet commands, and their monsters obeyed instantly. The alien students watched, wide-eyed and silent. Their own pets stumbled, froze, or panicked at the simulated threats. Some tried to attack the mechanical predators, but without understanding they tripped or became confused. The humans' pets, on the other hand, anticipated every move, shielding their owners and neutralizing the dangers without harming anyone. The difference was clear. The room filled not with laughter this time but with awe. One small alien student gasped as a Deathworlder pet leapt high to stop a swinging obstacle from hitting its human. Another whispered in disbelief, "They think ahead, they don't just react." The teacher, who had seen many species and many contests, could not hide a proud nod. Even the aliens who had been skeptical now looked on with respect. The humans and their pets were in a league of their own. As the exercise continued, the aliens' initial fear slowly changed into admiration. They saw the bond between human and creature, a bond built on trust, discipline, and experience. The pets were terrifying to look at, yes, but they were obedient, intelligent, and loyal. Each action was deliberate, each movement precise. The humans did not need to shout, command, or force. Their pets understood instinctively, protecting them without hesitation. Some alien students attempted to intervene, guiding their pets or shouting instructions. Their creatures stumbled, unsure what to do. The humans, however, allowed their pets to take control, trusting in the bond they had built. A large mechanical predator lunged unexpectedly, but a Deathworlder pet intercepted it, rolling and striking with perfect timing. The aliens could not believe what they saw. The humans had earned respect not through words or displays of power, but through calm confidence and understanding. By the end of the exercise, the alien students no longer whispered about cuteness or strength. They spoke quietly about courage, intelligence, and loyalty. They glanced at the humans with new eyes, realizing that these newcomers had survived harsh worlds, trained impossible creatures, and remained calm in the face of danger. Even the teacher praised them openly. "You have shown us all a lesson today," the teacher said, voice firm but respectful. "Strength is not always obvious. Courage does not always roar. And true skill comes from experience and trust." The humans nodded silently, their expressions calm, never boasting, never seeking attention. Their pets, still alert and protective, seemed to understand the lesson as well, standing tall and loyal beside their owners. After the challenge, the aliens began to approach the humans with curiosity and respect. Some asked quietly how they trained their pets, others simply watched, trying to understand the connection. The humans answered softly, explaining that their world was full of danger and that survival required intelligence, courage, and cooperation. Their pets were not just companions, they were partners, and every action was a choice built on trust. By the end of the day, the classroom had changed. What had begun as excitement and fear turned into admiration and respect. The humans were no longer just new students, they were a standard to aspire to, a reminder that appearances could deceive. The alien students looked at their pets differently now, wondering how much they relied on luck or looks instead of true skill. Outside, the Deathworlder pets stood silently, powerful and alert. Their humans walked among the other students, calm and unshakable. The aliens whispered one last time, their voices filled with awe. "We thought they were just humans," one said softly. "But now, we know they are something more." The lesson was clear. Respect was earned through courage, intelligence, and trust, not by showing off. The humans had done it without words, without boasting, and without fear. Their presence alone had changed the classroom, leaving everyone to realize that some lessons are learned not by seeing, but by witnessing true skill and loyalty in action. By the end of the day, the classroom had changed in ways that no one had expected. The alien students walked slowly, speaking in hushed tones, still processing everything they had witnessed. The humans and their Deathworlder pets stood quietly at the front, calm and composed, letting the others admire without drawing attention to themselves. What had begun as a simple pet day had turned into a lesson that no one would forget. Some alien students approached their own pets, touching them gently, whispering encouragements, but the look in their eyes had changed. They no longer thought only of cuteness or tricks. They were thinking about strength, intelligence, and trust. One small student looked at a trembling winged creature and shook their head. "We have a lot to learn," they whispered to themselves. Another alien spoke to a friend quietly, "The humans, they do things differently. But their way works. They survive and so do their pets." The teacher stepped forward, clapping hands to bring the class together. "Today," they said, voice serious, "we have learned that strength can take many forms. Courage does not always roar, and appearances are not always the truth. Some of the most powerful lessons come from observing others and understanding what drives them. The aliens nodded, many still staring in awe at the humans and their companions. The humans did not answer with words. They only smiled faintly, calm and humble. Their pets shifted slightly, tails swishing or claws clicking softly, but they remained silent and loyal. The aliens realized that these creatures were not just monsters, they were teachers, guides and protectors. They moved with intelligence, responding to every situation perfectly, because they had been raised to understand, to anticipate and to trust. Later, during free time, some aliens dared to approach the humans directly. They asked questions about their world, the dangers they had survived and how they trained their pets. The humans spoke quietly and simply, explaining that life on a death world was hard and unforgiving. Survival required teamwork, courage and respect between humans and their companions. The alien students listened intently, fascinated. They realized that the humans' calm confidence came from experience and that their respect was earned, not given. Even outside the classroom, the whispers continued. Students who had once laughed at the newcomers now spoke with admiration. Humans are different, one said. They do not need to prove themselves with words. Their actions speak for them. Another nodded. And their pets, they are not just strong. They are smart, loyal, brave. I want to understand that. Some aliens began to rethink their own habits. They had relied on looks, on cuteness, on tricks to impress. But now they saw that true skill came from training, trust, and courage. It was not about showing off. It was about being ready for anything, learning from experience, and respecting the bond between owner and pet. The humans had shown them this in ways no lecture could. As the day ended, the humans walked out of the classroom with their pets at their sides, calm and unshakable. The other students watched silently, realizing that this was more than just a contest. It was a moment of understanding, a shift in perspective. Fear and excitement had turned into respect and admiration. The humans had arrived quietly, but they left an impression that would last far longer than any pet day trophy. Even the teacher was thoughtful. They realized that the humans had taught everyone a lesson beyond the exercises. Strength was not measured in size or cuteness, but in courage, intelligence, and loyalty. They made a note to emphasize these lessons in future classes, using the humans and their companions as examples. By the time the academy hall emptied, the alien students had changed. They walked with new respect in their eyes, looking at their peers, their pets, and even themselves differently. They understood now that courage and strength came in many forms, and sometimes the quietest, calmest presence could teach the most important lessons. As night fell, the humans returned to their quarters, Deathworlder pets resting beside them. The room was silent except for the soft breathing of the creatures, still alert, still protective. The humans spoke softly among themselves, not proud, not boastful, simply content. They had shown what it meant to survive, to respect life, and to earn trust. The aliens would remember this day forever. They had expected cute companions, playful and harmless. Instead, they had seen power, intelligence, and loyalty in action. They had learned that humans and their Deathworlder pets were unlike anything they had ever known. A new understanding had formed in the classroom, one that would change how the students viewed the world, strength, and each other. And so, Pet Day ended not with laughter or applause, but with respect earned, lessons learned, and a quiet admiration that would last far beyond the walls of the academy. The humans had arrived as newcomers, but they left as teachers, showing everyone that sometimes, the strongest power comes from calm confidence, loyalty, and the courage to face any challenge.